Welcome back, Tyrants. Coming back at you with a new One Piece chapter, chapter 997. Now, before I hop into the chapter, I want to go ahead and let you guys know that I do have a Discord set up. So in case anybody's watching and they have like a new YouTube channel and they're doing like One Piece reviews or starting, One Piece videos and they just want to see a community and help get started, feel free to join my Discord. You can feel free to like kind of promote your YouTube stuff in there. I have a few tools in there maybe to help promote your videos, backgrounds and things like that. And also it's just a fun community to talk about One Piece and other anime and things like that. So yeah, feel free to join. The link will be in the description below as well as on my About channel. But let's get to the chapter. So we start off with the cool cover story of Sanji, and he's trying to meditate, but he keeps being distracted by essentially impure thoughts and Nami, who's right outside the door. And it's funny because the priest that's kind of trying to get him to meditate and stay focused is using three sword style like Zoro. So it's kind of just a nod to the Zoro Sanji thing, which we actually get a lot of this chapter too. So I thought that was interesting. You start the chapter where we left off last time, and that's Sanji apparently sensing a woman in danger. And so that kicks off his senses and he heads off in that direction. Now, a lot of people thought that maybe it was Ivankov showing up, that essentially we had a lot of weird theories about what was happening there, and I think that was due to some translation issues. Personally, I never really thought that it would be Ivankov. I was always along the lines of it was probably Black Maria or something Black Maria related, and that's what it ended up being. So I don't know if you guys follow Arter from the Library of Ohara. Now, he does a bunch of cool stuff. He does chapter analysis, and he really breaks things down. And I believe with the last chapter, he's the one who kind of broke things down and showed that essentially what Sanji was hearing was a common kabuki theater trope in which there's a geisha and there's a lord, and they have this whole interaction where they're like, he's undressing her and things like that. And it's kind of like a joke type thing that they do during kabuki. So that's what this ends up being. And so when Sanji gets there, he gets caught in a spiderweb and they reveal that it's a trap. Sanji gets caught, they end up doing some damage to him, and he's all wrapped up and pretty much incapacitated for the time being. Now, this is kind of like the typical Sanji kind of fight arc, especially if a woman's involved, is that he kind of gets dumped on in the beginning, but something happens to kind of get him out of it. What'll happen here, I'm honestly not sure. So the person who ends up catching him is what I think to be Black Maria and her Delph Fruit ability. Now there's a yokai in Japanese folklore called the Jorogumo. I believe that's how you pronounce it. Essentially what this is a woman spider. And this is a creature that has the ability to shapeshift into a beautiful woman, but is also kind of like this creepy spider creature. And considering we have webs, considering it's a mythical Zoan type, it seems to fit Black Maria, who also sounds like Black Widow. You got a lot of spider themes here. So I would not put it past Oda to kind of set Black Maria up with that devil fruit. That seems like something that would fit her fairly well. Now, as far as what's going to happen to Sanji, I think we have a few options here, because if you recall a lot earlier, when Black Maria saw Momo and how he was beat up, instead of being aggressive, she kind of felt sorry for him, and she kind of took him in her hands and she was gentle with him. And here, Black Maria mentions that she kind of likes Sanji, or kind of likes the person that Sanji is. So I'm seeing a correlation between Black Maria might be a little bit more kind. Not necessarily a nice or good person, but she probably has some kind of, interesting soft spot. So as far as possibilities, I see like either Black Maria is going to treat Sanji kindly like she did Momo. Maybe it's just a spot that Momo and Sanji kind of hit in her heart that makes her want to act that way. That one's probably the least likely. I think there's something that has to do with Black Maria noticing that Sanji was the one that helped Momo, because she previously felt bad for Momo, and to see that Sanji put his life on the line to help him, that might earn Sanji some favor in Black Maria's eyes. Now, the third option is I think someone's going to come and help Sanji. I don't know who that would be. My first guess is Robin, because essentially as soon as we saw Black Maria, a lot of people were saying that that's going to be Robin's fight. Those two are going to go at it. I could still see that happening, and I think we're getting more possibility of that now. Robin's still in like the main floor, but I definitely see her making her way here now that Marco came to the main floor. Either way, Sanji's situation is going to be solved with him not fighting. It's going to be something else. There's going to be some kind of, I'll say, like, convenience for Sanji to where he doesn't have to fight. I'm not entirely sure, but I'm not surprised by the situation that Sanji's in now. This is pretty typical. I mean, it happens. We'll get the answers to it later, so I'm not really going to worry about it all that much. We go over to Luffy and Jinbei, and they notice that Sanji is missing. So Jinbei says that Sanji pretty much went off and he had this kind of determined and raged look on his face, and that's kind of the end of it. I think Luffy at this point, especially at this point, knows that if his crew goes off to do something, if they have like a goal or some kind of determination in mind, they're going to handle what they need to handle. So Luffy's not worried about it at all. He's like, Sanji's going to do his thing, that's fine, he'll do his thing. So I don't think anyone's going to be worried about it. I think it's more likely that someone's going to come across it trying to get up instead of going to look for Sanji. But yeah, Luffy and Jinbei are moving forward. It looks like the samurai build a ladder that leads directly up to the 4th floor. And they do this so they can avoid a lot of the fighting that's going to take place later on by what we have our new headliners. So we have Poker and we have Mizurka, if I'm saying that right. 2 more headliners, 2 very weird abilities. So Poker has a snake design, and it looks like the snake goes like the tail starts from his right foot, goes up through his body, through his shoulders, and then comes out through his right foot. And that's interesting. Like, of all the designs we've seen so far, that one seems very interesting to me. I don't know why. Besides like animals just, growing out of random spots or like just manifesting somewhere, this one seems a lot more integrated with the person. It's kind of cool in my opinion. Now the other one, Mizurka, that one's not cool. That one seems terrible because it's pretty much just what looks to be a giant gorilla growing out of her back. And I also noticed that it looks like the smiles don't have the singular forms like the other ones do, because we've seen gorilla gifters before. So it seems like the animal can be, the animal smile fruit can be used multiple times. There can be multiple gorilla gifters. So I guess that's just a limitation that's not set. Obviously, the costs of using a smile are worse than that, but just something I noticed. So now we head back to the dome, the big fight floor where everyone's at, and we see Big Mom pretty much heading up the hole that Kaido went through to get to the top of the dome. And as she flies up, something falls down, and Zoro catches sight of that. Turns out it's Kiku's arm. Now, this portion of the chapter is actually, I think, my favorite of the entire chapter, just because what we kind of get out of Zoro. But he sees Kiku's arm fall, and his demeanor, instantly changes. It almost seems like he goes calm, and then he goes into a tranquil fury type of thing. Because the way the panels are laid out, he's looking around the room, he's kind of taking sight of everything, and it almost feels like he's doing what Mihawk did in Marineford, where there's a bunch of stuff going on, and he's kind of just calming himself down and trying to find his target. Because we see like the panels of him kind of looking around, he sees a bunch of fighting, but he's not disturbed by it, he's not taken off guard by it. When Basomasa attacks him, he actually kind of just sideswipes him. There's no grand movement or anything, he just casually takes him out. And it just feels like he's moving so kind of slow and methodical to kind of just calm himself to figure out what he's going to do next. And as soon as he gets his sights on Apu, he goes into Shishi Sonson mode and one-shots him. And that panel looks fantastic. Like the shading, the action sequence, all of it just looks fantastic. And we can see in the panels that Zoro actually cut through one of Apu's tonfas, which previously it looks like he was putting Haki into, and they were at least contending with casual slashes. So he cuts right through those, cuts through Apu, Drake is shocked, and he ends up getting the antidote, or the antibodies. And from this, we discover that Chopper has kind of figured out how the virus works. And I think I mentioned this when Chopper first got infected, that it seems like the virus is very similar to the Shinokuni. to where it's a gas that covers the body, and if you can stop it from covering your body, that might be the solution to the cure. So what I'm assuming is that the gas that covers the body, it starts on the outside, and it kills you from the outside to the inside. So what's happening is Chopper is saying, well, use fire. Fire will stop it from, consuming you. Fire will stop it from completely covering you, but it won't cure it. You have to still have a cure, which Chopper is now going to make. So we've got the cure for the virus. We've got it, pretty much handled. Apu's out, and we have Queen, who's looking down from the rafters. He sees that Apu's been taken out. He sees that Chopper figured out the cure, and he's ready to strike. But before he even gets the chance, Zoro cuts him off, like literally. Cuts to his bazooka, sends a slash up there, and Queen's face is hilarious. And it's funny because I don't think Queen really should be that startled by anything that Zoro does, just because he's he's a top commander. But it's still pretty funny to me to see that he still makes that face, because he even makes that face again when Zoro's kind of giving his speech about going to cut down Kaido. He's still making that shocked face, so it's just really funny. But Zoro doing this reminds me of Punk Hazard. When Zoro's telling Luffy he needs to be more serious. It's a matter of how the stakes feel right now. Because Zoro seeing Kiku's arm, I think leads Zoro to know that, okay, the Scabbards aren't doing well. Like, if anything, they may have already lost, but he knows they aren't doing well because Kiku's arm just came flying down. So obviously they're taking some losses. That, and I think Zoro respects Kiku, so seeing Kiku's arm fall, I think hits a special nerve. The same way it would hit a nerve in Luffy. If Luffy were to see that, he would obviously fly into a rage. So to see Zoro kind of have that same reaction, but Zoro's is a bit more kind of controlled and precise, whereas Luffy would just be in a flying rage. It's also noted that Robin saw it too. She really didn't have a reaction one way or the other, but I think she was just there to kind of give us that exposition as to why Zoro was acting that way. And we also get Marco here. So Marco was coming in with Big Mom. It doesn't look like he's following her up to the top. It looks like he's probably going to help Chopper stop the spread of the virus. That's what I would assume. That, or he's going to carry one of these Straw Hats to a different floor. Now, I don't think he's carrying Zoro to the top, because Zoro even mentions we still have to deal with Queen and King. So it wouldn't be as easy as just flying to the top. If anything, I think Marco could be the way Robin gets to Sanji. Other than that, I think he's staying with Chopper and curing the virus. And whilst kind of all this is going on, while Zoro is giving his speech and while Marco is showing up, the entire island is rumbling. And we get viewpoints from a lot of different people. We see it on the fighting floor. Everyone's like, what's this shaking? What's happening to the island? We see the Heart Pirate submarine trying to get close, but they're like, we can't get close to the island. There's too much happening. We see some of the Tobiropo make remarks. We see Kid, we see Hyogoro. Everyone's just really confused as to what's going on here. And eventually we get to Yamato. And Yamato is trying to get Shinobu and Momo off the island, just completely out of here. And when they get to appear to a dock, they find that there's no ships there. There's nothing they can sail with. Not only are there no ships, but there's no sea. And it's confusing at first. It was like, what do you mean there's no sea? This is an island. It's surrounded by the sea. But Yamato then makes a very interesting comment. She says that dragons have the ability to create flame clouds, and flame clouds are what they use to fly. And what Kaido is now doing is using flame clouds to lift Onigashima itself and use it to fly. Now, this set of panels is huge for a number of reasons. The first reason that comes to my mind is the sheer size of Onigashima. And this is another callback to Arter, but if you guys remember when we first kind of got a glimpse of how big Onigashima was, when you saw like how the ships sailed in and how just massive Onigashima is, think about that, and then think about Kaido lifting that entire island. Like, if you look at the panel and you look at the top of the Skull Dome, you have to remember that on top of that Skull Dome, Kaido's dragon form was still pretty small. So you have to think that Kaido is just standing on top of that Skull Dome. He's probably a speck in that panel, and he's lifting this entire island. And when we see him talking, he doesn't seem like he's, out of breath or really stressed out. It seems so casual to him. Like that, the idea of that alone is mind-blowing. And this just adds to his arsenal of abilities. You know, we've got flame clouds, we've got thunder, we've got air slashes. Kaido has fire breath. Kaido has so many things in his dragon arsenal. It's kind of insane. I don't know. The more and more I see from it, the more and more it seems like not only is this a fruit, but this is more than a fruit. Like the abilities he gets from being a dragon seem to be so in line with mythology that it feels like he really is just a dragon and he just has these abilities. He was born with these abilities. Another interesting tidbit is that Yamato knows about this. And of course, Yamato, being Kaido's daughter, could just have knowledge on her dad's abilities, but I also wonder if she knows about abilities because she's a dragon too. I know that's been speculated a few times that she might be a dragon, she might have a dragon type devil fruit, she might just be a dragon. You know, there's a few things here, especially with seeing her teeth the last chapter. We know she has some kind of transformation. And the more we get from this chapter, I still want to see the official translations, but I feel like we have more credence to that. And the fact that she knows just what's happening, like she knows exactly what's happening when it happens, that makes me think that she has extensive knowledge on dragons. Why? I'd like to find out. It could definitely be that she is a dragon. It could also be that she knows a lot about her dad's powers. So that one I'm not entirely sure, but I would definitely want to find out. It also makes me think of Momo, because we saw Momo do something similar with Clouds when he was using his devil fruit. And we know that his devil fruit is essentially a mock of a real devil fruit. So if they were creating that devil fruit with perhaps Kaido in mind, maybe they copied that ability. So maybe Momo can use it on a smaller scale. We've yet to see him go in his dragon form in a while, so I'd be curious to see if this triggers a dragon form change in him sometime soon. But yeah, another fantastic chapter. I don't know what's going to happen next. I have no idea what's going to happen with Kaido and Onigashima, because now that he's picked it up and now that he's going to be moving it towards Wano, it has become a massive hazard. If at any point it drops, people kind of have to die. Like, whether it's people on Onigashima, whether it's people on Wano, like the size of that island is too big for it to drop anywhere and not cause damage somewhere. If it drops in the water, it's gonna cause some kind of large wave or tsunami to, you know, go inland. And he wants to drop it on Wano. He wants to take it to Wano. Whether he drops it there or not, I'm not entirely sure, but he wants to take it to Wano. So we will see what the scale is, but if he gets to Wano, then we have a problem. Because if at any point it drops, it goes down, it's taking out a large portion of Wano and its people. So I don't know what Kaido's plan is with Onigashima. I don't know if this was his plan from the start or if he's doing this because of the raid, but it looks like we're moving things forward in a way that I didn't expect. Now, the thing here is that I don't know if he drops it on Wano because he wants to use Wano as a labor force. He wants those people so he can continue building things for his eventual, you know, giant war. So if he drops Wano, or if he drops Onigashima on Wano, he loses that workforce. So I think he has a different plan in mind. What he's going to do, I have no idea. I'm at a loss. But like I said, this was a fantastic chapter. Again, leaving me with questions, leaving me jaw on the floor. I just love it. The road to 1000 has been fantastic, and I'm excited to see what happens next. If you like what I'm saying, feel free to drop a like for me. Go ahead and subscribe. If you dislike it, drop a comment. Let me know what you think is different. I'll catch you guys next time. Bye.